The Fred Christie case is a decision of the Supreme Court of Canada that allowed private businesses to discriminate on the basis of freedom of commerce. Born in Jamaica in 1902, Fred Christie immigrated to Canada and eventually settled near Montreal in 1919. He arrived in Quebec seeking opportunity, like many from the Caribbean, in the first decades of the 20th century. Christie settled in Verdun, a Montreal suburb and home to a growing and vibrant Black community. In Montreal, he found a good job working as a chauffeur, many friends, and a passion for hockey. In July 1936, Fred Christie and two friends went to the York Tavern attached to the Montreal Forum to have a beer. Christie placed 50 cents on the table and ordered 3 glasses of beer. However, both the waiter and bartender refused to serve Christie because he was Black. Christie was unaware that management had recently imposed this policy of racial segregation. Offended, he summoned the police to witness the Yorks' refusal to serve him. The officers arrived but failed to do anything about it. The York Tavern had been willing to serve Christie a beer during the hockey season in a crowd dominated by whites, but the rules changed on the cusp of a boxing match that might draw larger numbers of Black spectators to the forum. Word of the York Tavern's refusal spread through Montreal's Black community, and a legal fund was established to assist Christie to begin his case in court. The legal fund was chaired by Kenneth Melville, the first Black medical student at McGill University. With the financial backing and support of his community, Christie sued York Tavern for $200 in damages for the humiliation he suffered. In the 1930s, Canada's constitution did not contain explicit protections for equality rights, nor did Canada or Quebec have specific laws preventing discrimination. Christie and his lawyer, Lavelle Carroll, argued instead that the York Tavern had broken its contract with Christie by refusing to serve him after he ordered his drink, and that the York had violated its duty under its liquor license to serve all customers without discrimination. The trial judge agreed and awarded Christie $25 in damages. On appeal, a majority of judges sided with the York Tavern, holding that a merchant or trader is free to carry on his business in a manner that he conceives to be best for that business. Christie appealed to the Supreme Court of Canada. On May 10, 1939, Chief Justice Lyman Poor Duff and 4 other members of the Supreme Court heard the arguments in Fred Christie's case in Ottawa. That December, the court released its judgment. Christie lost. The court pointed out that in refusing to sell beer to Christie, the York's employees did so quietly, politely, and without causing any scene or commotion whatsoever. Freedom of commerce prevailed, the court held, and that meant a tavern could refuse to serve whomever they pleased. Disappointed with the loss of his case, Fred Christie left Montreal and moved to Vermont. In the decades that followed, while legal scholars criticized the decision of Christie v. York, human rights statutes began to change the law in Canada. In the decades following the Second World War, provincial legislatures and the Canadian Parliament began to outlaw discrimination in the provision of private goods and services. In 1975, Quebec enacted its Charter of Rights and Freedoms, finally preventing taverns from discriminating on the basis of race. At that moment, the decision of Christie v. York passed from law into legal history, a permanent reminder of the power of law to authorize the racism that often lurks below the surface of society.